Hey guys, welcome back for a bonus segment here on this particular platform. And as always, I'm super excited for each of you taking the time to sit under this particular platform and receive the messages that are downloaded to me and I in turn relay to you. And so, yes, this is a part 3 of the live statements that I've been doing this week, which is the first week in July 2025. And so we are actually moving forward with the bonus areas that you need to be considering, prayer points and things as it relates to new bills versus a resale. And so point number 1, if you're buying a new bill, okay, request itemized statements and do comparisons to homes that are in the area that have the same features as the one that you are interested in buying, because it may be that it's inflated in one area and then your affordability is better around the corner in a community that doesn't have an HOA. It could be a smaller community, say they don't have flooring that you like, but that's one aspect, and you can go in and change that flooring for we'll just say a chunk of change less than, significantly less than what you would be spending paying interest and having that flooring incorporated into that other house. That's a new bill. For example, one home may be listed at $550,000, but then the floor that the house that has everything but the floor is listed at $475,000. You're saving a substantial amount of money by just you going in at the $475,000 and taking a budget of $15,000 to put into changing the floors out. Okay, so make sure that you're doing the price comparison, and then you can request itemized building sheets. You can ask the builder. They may not give it to you, but you can ask them. And if they don't give it to you, if they know that they're price gouging, which means that they're tacking on $200,000 or $300,000 worth of commission to be able to profit off of that home, they're not going to want to give you this list sheet of all of the materials that they say they're using for this particular property. And another thing that we talked about with day 2, I think it was, with the live segments regarding Kingdom home ownership, was the fact that a lot of times these builders, they have contracts with appliance makers, and so they get defected or problematic systems, ovens, refrigerators, dryers, washers, HVAC systems. All of these things are purchased in bulk. So when they're purchasing in bulk, they have a contractual agreement with these people. And so you get in there and now your warranty goes out in a year and now you don't have coverage. But we'll get to what you can do to safeguard yourself for that down the line in this bonus segment. And so, but you're looking for the comparisons. You're looking for the price points. You're also going to utilize this as a negotiation tactic. If you see the floors over here are the only thing that stands out on that property and it's listed at $450,000 and everything else is identical, you can go and now negotiate this price point of this home that's $550,000. It's $550,000. You can negotiate that down to maybe $500,000 if you just want it already included. So as long as it equates to that $450,000 plus your $15,000, you would want to do that. Okay, so that would be $480, $85, $90, $490. You're going to want to price point that at $490. If they walk away, if they say no to $490 as the price point, because now you've went over here and you've seen that it's one listed for $450,000, you have a budget of $15,000 to just change out the floors. That's the only thing it lacks. Walk away. Go do the one that you can just invest in and save your interest in all of the money that you would be pouring into that floor, that home that has the floor that you do not, or that has everything, but it's super, super expensive. And so the next point is examine the incentives that the builders are offering. They don't advertise it a lot of times because they want to keep the money in their pocket. But ask them, what type of incentives do you have if I purchase into this community? And these incentives can in turn put the money that you're spending in your fees and your, as it relates to your agent's fees, your realtor fees, all of the percentages that you'll be paying, and just the moving process altogether. The money that's caught that you've utilized during the purchasing phase and for you to transition into the space can be recovered and recompensated to an extent if you're receiving incentives from the builder. And this typically happens with it could be a new build or a pre-existing, but it tends to be higher with a builder, a new build. And so a part of the reason that they do that is because if the inventory is not moving as quick as they want it, then now they offer the incentives to get you to, be interested in buying it. But be aware of that. And just because you receive an incentive doesn't mean that you have to offer their asking price. You can still do about 5 to 10% beneath what the price point is and what they're listed at, and it not be considered a lowball offer. All right. And then now we're moving in. We're talking about pre-existing sales. Okay. With a pre-existing sale, you're going to want to make sure that you are actually considering the age of the home. Consider the age of the home. If it's more than 15 years old, you probably want to go in with the mindset of making sure that you have the type of loan that's going to allow you a repair budget, or a budget that's going to a line of equity. Go in and get a line of equity in order for you to, or line of credit, in order for you to have something to fall back on if something goes wrong. Plumbing, electrical, roofing, natural disaster, anything could happen with an older home, and it's not going to be covered like it would be with a new build. And so make sure that you're looking at these things and considering it. And then with your land, you're going to want to make sure that you're inspecting your land with a pre-existing home, just like you do with a new build. With a new build, you're not going to know the land or be able to see it. But with a pre-existing home, you're going to want to look for things like runoff, erosion, the foundation shifts and things like that within your driveway, because this could be an indicator of tree roots. It could be an indicator of, wildlife, things like that could be causing problematic or pests, things that are associated with your land. The next thing you're going to want to consider is your foundation. Do you see things such as the doors not closing? Do you see things such as shifts or like buckles in the floor? Do you see things as your cabinet not closing? Do you see things such as when you turn on the water upstairs or downstairs? Do you see a difference in the pressure? Do you hear things knocking? That's a plumbing issue. Do you see the sockets? Or the sockets, do they tend to kind of spark? Do you turn on a light at one end of the hallway and then it be like a delay? All of these different areas you're going to want to look for as it relates to like foundational issues, because it can trigger so many different things that are related to your roof, to your plumbing, to your electrical. Then next, you want to look at your plumbing. Your plumbing, are there signs of moisture anywhere in the home? It costs you nothing to go and buy a moisture reader, purchase it, keep it for a good, you just keep it on hand. So that way, if you do down the line see something that looks a little off, you have it already on hand. But the plumbing, like I said, the pressure, is the pressure off? Make sure with an older home, you have an access point outside of the home. Because if you do have a plumbing issue, we learned this with purchasing an older home. We had a backup in a toilet, and because they could not access the line from outside, they could not do certain things. And so this was even though we had a home warranty. So make sure that you are actually looking at that, examine that. And if it's something that needs to be rectified, you weave that into the incentives that you're requesting from the buyer, or you're either deducting that from the price point in the purchase price. Okay. And then the next part is you're going to make sure that you're looking for like I said, those areas where you may see a leak or knocking of pipes or things like that, or issues with water not getting hot or cold, or your hot water heater. You're going to want to make sure that you check those too. Look at how long ago it was installed. Look at the warranty on it. Look at the type. Compare it. Do the reviews and see if it's going to be something that you may more than likely need to replace. Because a lot of times homeowners, when they're selling, are putting things in there to just draw the buyer. They're not disclosing everything. They're not required to by law. It's certain things that they're required to disclose and certain things they're not. But as a believer, you should be honest at all aspects of selling if you're the seller. But as the buyer, it's your due diligence to make sure that you're looking at these things as well. All right. And then the next component is your roof. You're going to make sure that you get someone out there. It costs you nothing to do a roofing estimate. Have someone to come out and look and do an inspection of the roof. Make sure that there are no nail beads. Your flashings are good. That if you have an attic space, you're going to have an attic space. If you have your attic space, you're going to want to make sure that you actually have no signs of intrusion, such as like pests or things like that, rodents, squirrels, birds, bird nests, snakes. We actually walked away from a home that we put an offer on before we bought our current home, because when we did the inspection, we found like a dead snake, but it had no trees around. So it's like, how did this snake get up here? Where did he come from? There was like a lake, but it's like, how did he get in here? So I don't know what that means, but I don't want a house. And so it did have a pool. So maybe that's like some of the reason, but at the same time, why was it in the attic? And so you're looking at the roofing aspects. The next component is you're looking at electrical as well. You're going to want to see if, like I said, if you turn on a light at one spot, does it take a long time or is it a delay? Do you see sparks? Do you see flickering lights? Do you see loose light fixtures? All of these different things, because you will have to hire someone to come in and rectify these things if you purchase that home and it's not included in the things that you desire to have completed within the purchasing process. So as you list your repairs and your negotiations of what you're requesting from the actual seller, you need to notate these things very clearly as to what you're expecting, or be provided some type of budget to offset these things after you purchase. That will be given to you as a concession at the closing table. All right. The next component is you're going to want to make sure that you are also looking at these areas, because they are the most expensive, guys. Your land is not going to be covered in your homeowner's insurance. Your foundation is definitely not going to be covered in anything. So it is imperative that you do that, because the foundation shifting could cause so many different areas, and then you may just end up having to walk away from the property if it becomes a money pit because of the affordability of it, and it just becoming a money pit. They call it a money pit because you start spending money on it and it never ends. And so you're going to want to make sure that you are not housing a money pit. All right. Then you're also going to want to be mindful that your plumbing, you can have certain coverages for your plumbing, but you definitely need to make sure that if you're plumbing with a pre-existing home, you're going to want to make sure you have a home warranty, because it's going to cover things like your roof, your plumbing, your electrical, your appliances, depending on the tier that you get. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But you're going to want to make sure you have these things in place for the things that your homeowner's insurance don't cover, or even just as a protocol, because you will, some way, in some shape, it's a home. Like I said, it's going to wear out. You're going to need repairs. You're going to have to do things to it. So make sure that you are actually taking time to move forward and experience I'm just going to say have the mindset that you better safe than sorry. So when you have a warranty, you have a fee that you pay for all the services, and it's the same, versus you having to hire a contracted plumber or a contracted electrician and now paying by the hour at the rate at their normal rate, which is like $450 plus, depending on the job. I know we had a garbage disposal missing a screw, and because in the fine print of our warranty it stated if any parts were missing, they wouldn't cover it. So instead of us paying the $100 fee and just receiving a new garbage disposal, we actually had to purchase the garbage disposal. And we also had to have we had to pay the actual plumber. And it ended up being a $450 job for the garbage disposal to be replaced. And so gratefully we had that budget set aside, but at the same time, it didn't have to be that way. So make sure that you're doing your due diligence and you're looking at the fine print. But to share the positive side of that, with a home warranty, we had a situation where we did have a leak. We paid $100 for them to locate a contractor. He was here on site within 24 to 48 hours. He rectified the plumbing issue. And instead of us having to pay $300 or $400, we paid $100 and the leak was rectified. We had an issue with our roof with like a limb. It was like a storm or something that knocked a flashing leaf loose, or a shingle loose, and we ended up noticing some moisture, and that we have an allotment of $1,500 per year with our warranty to cover roofing issues. And so you want to look at these things. They are beneficial. There was another time where we had an issue with our appliances. My washer, which was an older washer at the time, gave out and it stopped spinning properly. So I ended up having to get the washer, and we ended up having to, I think it ended up being a lid switch. I'm not sure. But at the same time, they couldn't rectify it. And the part that it needed was on back order. So the warranty company said, hey, it's an older washer, so we will just give you an allotment. Choose the one that you want. You have like 30 days to go and either go to Lowe's, Home Depot, appliance store to utilize it. You either reimburse them or they give you a stipend up front, or you just order it through their portal, giving you a link to the different types and models that you would like to have. You select it and then they deliver it. No fees. It was $100. That's it. but you pay for this warranty throughout the year. And it's like, it costs us maybe $100 a month. So $1,200 a year for us to receive $1,500 worth of products each year and more, if anything was problematic. When we moved, I'll tell you this story as well. We ended up having, and because we bought an older home too, guys, so don't think I bought a new building, all this stuff is going haywire. But we purchased, and my oven glass shattered, and my home was built in like 1980, so it's an older home, but it was a beautiful home. It spoke to us, but like I said, there were some things that were not covered. But at the same time, the oven glass shattered, and so in trying to order this part, they no longer made it, which meant we had to get a replacement. So we ended up being able to get almost a $3,000 oven unit installed for $100. So it pays off. It works off. It works to your advantage. It gives you that security. It gives you that safe haven. But this is what you should consider in purchasing a home. You should have this for a pre-existing home as well as a new build as well. Because even though you have those things for your appliances, if you have to call someone out, the parts may be covered, but the appliance labor may not. And so that's where they make their money. It's just like with auto repairs and things like that. So make sure that you're doing that. And then outside of those things, you just want to make sure that you're covered, because those things are not going to be covered a lot of times when it comes to your homeowner's insurance. So unless you have some type of flood, your plumbing is not going to be covered with homeowner's insurance. Unless you have a natural disaster and your roof rips off, then your homeowner's insurance is not going to cover your roof. You have to come out of pocket for that. Your warranty will cover a portion of it if it's specified within the terms and conditions as to what it covers. And there are different tiers. So you have your basic, you have your mid tier, and then you have your platinum. So consider it like gold, well, silver, gold, and platinum types of plans. And so we always go platinum because it covers all appliances, electrical, plumbing, and roof, and then your HVAC system, which also is an area that you want to extensively examine, guys. Your hot water heater as well. But your HVAC is not going to be covered. This is why you go into communities. And I was led to speak of this last night in the live segment. This is why you go into communities and you see all of these new builds, but then their HVAC goes out and then the warranty goes out. So maybe like 2 years, 3 years after the community's been built, the HVAC goes out. Now you don't have warranty on it. You have warranty on the parts, but you can't afford the labor because you didn't consider these things. And because you thought insurance for your homeowners your homeowner's insurance was going to cover it, but it does not. And so when you realize that it's not going to cover that, you need to safeguard yourself. So having that homeowner's warranty, it covers that. So they'll come in and replace the part for that same $100 fee or whatever their fee for service is. And then they will cover the parts as well, as long as nothing is missing. This is another reason you want to inspect all of these different components of your home. Your garbage disposal, your dishwasher, your oven, your washer, your dryer, all of these aspects you want to make sure that you are looking at. Another thing that's not going to be covered is your gutters. Your gutters and your windows and flooring issues is not going to be covered by homeowner's insurance. It's not going to be covered by warranty. It's not going to be covered longer than, I want to say, maybe a year to 5 years if you do a new build. It depends on the materials and the contractor that built your home. And so those are areas that you got to consider, guys. It's a lot with home ownership, and a lot of people are just choosing to rent because of that. If you rent, you just do a work order, and now, hey, somebody's assigned to come and fix it. You don't own it. You're not responsible for it. You just do it. But it's still good to have warranty insurance as a renter as well, because if you're renting versus buying, if your things are flooded, say your apartment gets flooded or your house gets flooded that you're staying in, but the property owner does not have flood protection, you now have the ability to be able to receive compensation for all of your items that were destroyed. And so all of these areas are what you should be using. So guys, I know these videos are pretty long, but this is why I felt like I had to come on here, and I was led to do so because I've been sitting on this stuff for some years. And there are so many people that are just not, they are not aware of this stuff. They're just ignorant to these things. And so just be mindful of that. But you need to extensively examine these things. All right. So these are the areas that should be deal breakers when you're looking at purchasing a pre-existing home or a new build. If you see any of these areas, huge red flag. Run for the hills, save your money, put your purse back up, put your wallet back up, put your money bag back up, whatever you're toting your bills in. tell the little lender, pause. We're just going to come back and pre-qualify or requalify. But do not sign on that dotted line if you see these areas, because it will be a nightmare. All right. They're deal breakers. They're deal breakers. Unless they're going to come with heavy incentives, unless they're going to give you a stipend, an extended warranty on all of these different aspects. And then sometimes that's not even good enough, because you have fraudulent contractors. They'll do these things, but then they'll disappear, change their name, and now they're not obligated. Business tactics. It's manipulative business practices. It's not kingdom business practice. And this is why I'm delivering kingdom ways of ownership and purchasing versus the worldly way. All right. And so the next thing is, you're going to request the repairs or the budgets, and seek the type of loans that allow you for the repairs. If in fact you do see minor things or minimal things that need to be repaired, so that you are prepared for it and it's not coming out of, and you're not spending more than what you intended to spend. There should be some type of happy median, an agreeing space, especially if the owner already knows that there are projects, which we're going to get into in a minute. And then the next component you're going to want to do is, you're going to want to make sure you're pricing the insurance and the valuation. Check to see if there were any claims on the home. If the previous owner did some claims, you can do that through your insurance agency. You can go back and you can research to see if there were any claims, what type of claims, how often the claims were done, and if there's a similarity. So say I have an older house, but all 3 owners before me had electrical or foundation issues or something dealing with building or structure. Nope. Structural things are not covered. So if it was plumbing issues, then an electrical issue, then there were some other like land issues, I now know that this is a problematic home. Bye-bye. I am gone. I'm not doing it. Okay? So have that mindset. But if it's something that's, you check out and there are no claims, then you're good to go. But make sure you do your due diligence. And then get quotes from different agencies, because they fluctuate. It's just like car insurance, guys. You might get a quote over here that's way in the neck of the woods. They may offer great coverage, but it might not be in your affordability. Graduate to that. Do what you need to do. Get your basic insurance. Make sure you're covered. There are different types of insurance as well, guys. Just because you have your standard homeowner's insurance, it's just like the tiers with the warranty. But instead of it being tiers, they have now broken everything up. Just like now when you have a car, you have deer insurance. You have windshield insurance. You have theft insurance. Is no longer incorporated into that one premium a lot of times with certain agencies. And so it's the same with your homeowner's insurance. You have to have wind and hail. So if there was a natural disaster, but your roof is ripped off and it was not due to a tree falling or something like that, or burning up, you have to have wind and hail coverage. If a flood comes through and now your basement's flooded, or you have water intrusion and you're in a no flood zone and you don't have a flood policy, you're not going to be covered by your standard homeowner's insurance. You're going to have a flood policy. So make sure you do a parcel search, and you make sure that you're examining the land so that you can see if it is in a flood zone. If so, get flood protection. Okay. But then you're looking at this stuff before you ever get the mortgage. Okay. That's the imperative part. Okay. Price it, get the quotes, do those things, check out the previous claims and the amounts. And, if it's referencing any of these areas, pray about it, guys. Pray for these things to be revealed to you, for it to be, brought to the forefront, and for it to, so that it'll be what's best for you to move forward in. You want to move forward with the sense of clarity, with, the ability to not have any heavy-hearted decisions or feeling anxious about anything. That is not a spirit from our Heavenly Father. So don't do it. All right. And so the next thing with a pre-existing sale is, guys, as a believer, you should always be mindful of how you are responding. And so if there are indicators of projects with the home and it's not being concealed by the seller, like in our circumstances, you're going to want to make sure that you are being mindful. And so if they're indicators of projects, don't show up with the intention of lowballing or short selling the seller. They have reasons why they're selling. They've considered these things and they didn't conceal it. They want you to see it. And so don't consider, these things. And it's a negative impact on your character when you are condescending in tone. So don't do that. Don't go in and do that. Don't go in trying to be lowballing, and consider the fact that it is not a new home. If you had the capacity to buy a new home, or that if one spoke to you, you wouldn't be looking at a resale. Okay? So don't go in there with the intention of trying to get this old home into the condition of it being a new home. It's not a new home, guys. Consider the fact that it's not a new home. Consider the fact that it has been lived in. Consider the fact that everyone has a maintenance idea of their home and maintains homes differently. Okay? Your idea of squeaky clean is not the same idea as someone else's. Your idea of declutter is a different idea of someone else's idea of declutter. Your idea of decor, wallpaper galore, for some people is great. Certain people don't like it. That's minimal. That's cosmetic. Don't go in there with that idea of trying to be insulting. Don't be insulting to the homeowner, as you saw something in that property that attracted you to it in the first place. So, but if you have a change of heart after you go and you view this, then just simplistically give positive feedback, but do not be condescending. Be polite, as this is someone's dwelling place, guys. This is someone's home. They reside there. Have a heart posture of, the fruit of the Spirit. All right? Be gentle-hearted. And then remember that you can always make the space what you desire to make it. It's not going to be in that same state as you are viewing, but you have the ability to personalize it, guys. You will go in and you will put your personal touches on it. You'll put your little spin, your decor, and all that stuff on it, and you'll make it become customized to your liking of a home. And so just be mindful of that. So you can save a whole lot of money doing a resale, but do keep these things in mind. Paint, flooring, and doors, windows can be changed out, things like that, if you're not in an HOA or with approval of an HOA. But don't go in with like a negative mindset and then just thinking you just go in and they just owe you something, because they don't. You want their home. It's their home until you purchase it. Okay, and then the next thing you're going to want to consider is the property acreage. You look at the property acreage, guys. That's not going to change. So keep that in mind when you're looking at a pre-existing home. And then your location, that can't change either. Your location can't be changed. If this is all that lacks with the other things, with simple repairs and just, being reminded that they aren't deal breakers. So if those are just simple things, you can always adhere to that, but make sure that you're doing it with the right heart posture and you're going off of the confirmations that our Heavenly Father has given you. And so the next component is, you can paint, you can fix up a step, or just simple appliance swap outs if you don't like the appliances that come with the home, or if they even come with the home, or you can just purchase it, but you can always ask for incentives. Do things like that. And don't lose out on a deal just being too picky, guys. Don't be overly picky with a pre-existing home, because you could be being led there for you to save money, but then you're walking away from the deal that he intends for you to have and receive favor in abundance, but you're not taking time to take advantage of that. And I apologize for speaking fast, guys, but as the Holy Spirit flows, I typically speak faster. All right, and lastly, remember that this is a business transaction and you need to do what is best for you, but remember that the seller has needs too. They may have debts that they're paying off. They may have financial obligations. They may be moving because of the death of a loved one. They may be expanding their family. They may be downsizing. They may be doing a lot of different things, but keep in mind that the seller needs to sell at a decent price too, and they have obligations and responsibilities too. First and foremost is paying off their mortgage if they have one. Secondary is paying off the realtor fees. Second is paying off the liens if they had any. And then third is the realtor fees. All of these different things or fees that may be associated with the property. And then they may have other things that they're doing with this net proceeds of the home selling well. So keep these things in mind. And you just want to make sure that you have the right heart posture, guys. And so that is all I have for you guys as it relates to home ownership, buying, and the bonus points, selling, but the kingdom way, not the ways of the world. And so I am grateful for you guys taking the time to sit under this 3-part lesson and message in order for you to gain the wisdom and insight. And if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly via the link in our bio, or you can feel free to just comment below and I will respond. I'm usually pretty good about responding. I do so at least once once or twice a day. Try to, if nothing kind of comes up. But nonetheless, if you come in and I don't respond immediately or within a short period of time, I'll get back to you guys. And so do that. And if you have any other topics or subject matters as it relates to homeowners insurance or warranty, or the different types of things that you should be looking for specifically, if you have a question during your process and you just have not had the answers, please feel free to reach out to me, because like I said, we hit some pretty rocky areas with our purchase of our pre-existing home, and going through a legal process when we were told that we weren't able to. It was a lot of different learning curves that we have mastered now and have graduated from, and that we're being elevated to. So as I continue to learn, as I continue to grow, as I continue to receive the knowledge, the wisdom, understanding, and insight, and ability to relay it to you guys, I will release these messages. And until then, guys, I pray nothing but the best of success in all things heavenly, and everything in your life receives an influx from our Heavenly Father. So until the next message, guys, take care and be great.